Howdy ho! Today's band comes from Great Britain, the land of so many different metal genres that I have stopped counting a million years ago. Now, today's band is very atypical band for so many reasons that maybe we just should start looking at this avant-gardist black doom hybrid from the very beginning. And this is their third album, the band called Lychgate. I was originally thinking it's Lychgate, but seems not. And the album is, like you can read here, the Contagion of 9 steps. Oh my god, my speech today won't make any sense. So here is the CD, and inside there's a booklet, obviously, and this is the insides of the album, having all the recording information and lineup information here, and lyrics and whatnot in the booklet. Now, this is kind of a stylish, shows very closely what this album is kind of about when it comes to the mood and being this kind of avant-garde-ish band. Now, that is actually what Metal Archives kind of labels this band, avant-garde to black metal, and I cannot really disagree with that, because this is kind of weird ass album in so many ways. It starts with an annoying keyboard part which basically gives me shivers, well, almost anyway. Then those heavy guitar riffs enter the game and things go a little bit more normal. The tempo is very slow and kind of a dramatic atmosphere starts to fill the room with the music, and then you kind of figure out, yes, this is definitely doomy stuff. Except that with those synths and whatnot, there is certainly some kind of avant-garde way of expressing the music. Now, the actual black metal thing might be a little bit of exaggeration, considering that this is not riff-wise or vocal-wise very blackish, but surely there are some, ingredients or flavors which kind of season the whole album with the kind of a more black metalish outcome than very typical doom metal album. Now, what separates this kind of avant-garde-ish approach from kind of a typical gothic doom albums, like think of early My Dying Bride, Paradise Lost, and later more kind of a typical doom metal bands, is that this is clearly riff-wise very experimental, kind of a progressive, and not afraid, having a kind of a post-doom kind of compositions. Some of the riffs are outright weird, and they are not exactly my liking, but the atmosphere is kind of enjoyable in its gloomy, doomy thingy. Now, production is just great here. I mean, the guitar riffs are, strong and powerful and heavy, and the vocals are kind of strong as well with their crawling parts. But there are also lots of clean vocals, which are not bad, but might be something that won't fit everybody's taste of music. Because this is exactly like a traditional doom with kind of a doom death approach and then some black. These kind of hybrids are sometimes way too marginal to actually appeal to a wider audience, me included. Now, the basic foundation here is obviously that's kind of a death-wiped doom, but I didn't mention the death because it might be actually kind of a misleading way to describe the whole music. Think of like Opeth, and this is like they're mindless or kind of a insane stepbrother or something, and then you might have a clue here. I kind of like that these guys have found their unique way of creating music and composed his songs, but to be honest, this is way too overwhelming in that combination, at least for me. And as such, I find this album quite tiresome to listen to. It's not exactly boring or dull or anything that sort, but it is kind of something that pushes me away. And the reason is that I'm not a fan of this kind of avant-garde-ish ideas and compositions. This is like the antithesis of being catchy. And while I know it's not something that all people look for metal rock music, I still think that it's one of the reasons what separates, kind of a cult acts and popular acts, even especially mainstream acts, from those of kind of a cult success. If I had to judge the whole band by this album, I would say this is very marginal cult band. But this is my first time I actually heard band Lychgate, and as such, I cannot say how this, compares to their previous works. But what I can say that this is one of those really acquired tastes. It's not just something you throw in while driving a car or work or I don't know. And even if you would just, lay on your couch and listen to these tunes, it might be just too weird, too out of metal normality in a way to be enjoyable. However, I think there are people who will actually appreciate and understand this kind of hybrid avant-gardism, but I am not that person. So I'm not gonna judge this as a bad album just because I don't understand or get it. But I have a hard time to actually recommend this to myself. I mean, like, not to myself and not to anybody else by that means. I mean, you just have to listen to those samples and decide for yourself, because this is just, like I said, really marginal album by really weird compositions and riffs. So while I kind of like the idea of this album and the atmosphere and all that stuff, production, vocals, all that stuff, it is definitely an album I don't want to get back to. So it's a slightly negative way what I think about this album, but after all, it's just a matter of taste, and doesn't matter if I don't like it. This might be your grand jewel of the year. So if you think avant-garde-ish, Doom Black, even Death Hybrid is your cup of tea, go check it out. Otherwise, don't bother. This is not an album that's gonna change your perspective. Thank you for watching the review, and as always, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it so far, and see you soon with more reviews coming up.